Brother Mahadevappa, and dear Rashmi. Thank you all for inviting me today in your this public talk. I was in Adyar during convention, and there I talked to Brother Sanat Kumar that I'll be coming here, and then Brother Sridhar asked me to give talk here in the three lodges. Yesterday, I gave a talk in Vijayanagar Lodge, and last Monday, on 12th in the Malaysian Lodge, and today I am with you. So I'm very happy to be with you this morning. The subject, I had given few subjects to Brother Sridhar, and he has chosen subject Theosophising our lives. This one, today. Theosophising our life. I had written a book, Theosophy Blooms, 2 years before, and this copy was sent. This article is appearing here, written by me. So today we will see what is the, how we as members of Theosophy Society, how should we live. After all, any teaching, any philosophy has to percolate in our life. Unless that happens, it remains only intellectual knowledge. And we'll see some of the aspects, and there is some clarity we'll try to share with you. There are many sometimes difficulties felt. A person joins Theosophy Society and he or she remains for some years. Then he is sometimes is not very clear what are the guidelines, what are the basic principles of Theosophy, and what are the way of living Theosophy. As you know, there are many activities attached to Theosophy Society, like TUS, like Bharat Samaj Puja, like Beauty Without Cruelty, Masonic, all these are there. And some people who join these various activities, they are very useful activities, and they consider that is the living Theosophy, but that is not so. Theosophy basic principle, whatever there, the first is universal brotherhood, without distinction of race, caste, creed, sex, and all those things, that is basic objective. So we have to move towards that objective, then only we can say that we are really trying to live the Theosophy. So we see some of the aspects. The student should recognize that the full two-dimensional aspects are there of Theosophic life. As you know, there are three aspects of Theosophical sadhana practice: study, meditation, and service. Study of the philosophy of Theosophy. Meditation are those ideas and oneness, and service, selfless service. What is selfless service? To propagate this knowledge, this wisdom knowledge, that is the real service. Service, of course, at physical level is also there useful, but real service is spiritual service on which the Theosophy focuses. That is called by our Mahacharan as divine task. We are entrusted with the divine task of propagating Theosophy and to bring it practical life. That is the real Theosophic life. And this has two aspects. First, it is in us. We have to study, we have to contemplate on those principles, theories, and the teachings of the Mahatmas and Blavatsky, who was messenger Mahatma, and also to meditate on those, contemplate on those, and to serve people in light of that knowledge. Now, second aspect of this thing is that it directly affects our causal bodies, at causal level, higher mental level. And that was one of the objects when Blavatsky was asked about secret doctrine study. She said that the purpose of secret doctrine is to activate your causal body, higher mind. Presently, our higher mind, majority of us are not active. We are working in lower mind, worldly mind. So our higher mind has to be active, and then only it can join with buddhi, higher faculty, intuition. And then it happens buddhi yoga, as Lord Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita. So that is, if you move in that line, then only living Theosophy comes. Now we see some of the specific points on this. Such a recognition will inevitably lead him or her, that member of Theosophical Society, to study every theosophical truth. That means laws, karma, reincarnation, laws of harmony, all those things. And from every point of view, there are various points of view, In fact, there could be 7 point house on 7 planes, but presently we are working on 3 levels, so we can say spirit and mind and body. Every teaching, every principle has to be grasped at 3 levels: spirit, mind and body. First spirit, that means you come oneness, realize. Then mind, your mind should be attuned towards that, because mind is the only principle on which we have some control, and that is the basic thing. And then body, the organs. Body means our physical body and astral body. They should be attuned to those teachings. Such a study and practice will convince a person or member of Theosophical Society very soon that the synthesis is rooted in and proceeds from within his own spiritual being. Then we feel that something is coming out of us. Everything is worked from within outside. If my inner principles are changing, if my causal body is changing, then my external conduct through the lower mind and through the sense organs will change. And that we can judge ourselves, whether it's changing or not changing. And nobody else can judge. Each member can judge himself or herself. So this way, these are the tenets have to be absorbed and followed. Altruism is the absolute, in the absolute, whose 3 aspects are there. You know, there have been various descriptions of Theosophy. What is Theosophy? It's altruism. Theosophy is philanthropy. So altruism has 3 aspects: the religion to be lived, a religion to be lived. Religion means philosophy, Theosophical philosophy to be lived. And in terms of the philosophy to be learned, and the science to be practiced, and science, that means those principles have to be practiced of life. To practice, to learn, to live for and as the all. This is very important, all, A capital all, for all. We are trying to live and teach and propagate the Theosophy not for only self, but for all. That should be basic mind. Oneness should be on the background of mind. Is to be manifest the living power of Theosophy. Then only the real power of Theosophy will manifest through us. What is the real power of Theosophy? Transforming ourselves, and in that process transforming others also. That will come. The living power of Theosophy must become the power by which we live. As we have a material instrument and a energizing mind, we have got material instrument, our body, our organs, sense organs, and energizing mind. Mind is full of energy. We have to give a proper direction to that energy. And as we are being spiritual, we must live as spiritual beings. Our religions of joyous immortality, which ensouls and illumines the mind, added by the philosophy of the Theosophy, we must let the mind energizing our house of flesh, that is body, so that the latter is no more a place of pleasure, but a temple of the living God, the ruler who rules from within. As you know, the temple of living God, human body has been called a temple. So just like we try to make a temple very clean and very holy and all those things, we must keep our body very holy, very pure. That is the first step. So temple, this comes from Bible. You are temple of God, and then she say, ye are gods. You are absolute God. So now Chauhan, you know Chauhan's letter is considered Charter of Theosophical Society. He says in his letter, Theosophia, divine wisdom, is synonym of truth. Theosophia, divine wisdom, synonym of truth. It only imparts truth, nothing but truth. Truth at every level. Truth at physical level and mental level, at a spiritual level. For our doctrine to be practically react on the so-called moral code or the ideas of the truthfulness, purity, self-denial, charity, etc., we have to preach and popularize knowledge of Theosophy. This is the task. Preach and popularize the Theosophy. It is not the individual determined purpose of attaining oneself nirvana, the culmination of all knowledge and absolute wisdom, which is after all only an exalted and glorious selfishness, but the self-sacrificing pursuit of the best means to lead on the right path our neighbor. This is very important. To cause as many of our fellow creatures as we possibly can to benefit by it, which constitutes a true Theosophist. The Mahachohan giving a definition of Theosophist that first we ourselves acquire this knowledge, assimilate that knowledge, then preach that knowledge, and more important is to bring our neighbor on the right path. But before that, I must bring myself on the right path, then only our neighbor will be convinced that. So first I must try to live our own life according to Theos principles, and according to that, neighbor is only a symbolic term. Neighbor does not mean only your next house person. Neighbor can be, first of all, your own lower mind is your neighbor, because soul neighbor, then your family people are there, your acquaintances are there. But one caution is there, one should not impose the teaching on them, but try to say and communicate, because it is also realized that at this level of evolution, everybody is not prepared to accept these things immediately. So whosoever accepts, it is okay. And this can be done at any place. In morning walk, in train journey, anywhere, you just start talking something about Theosophy. My experience is at least one or two persons gets attracted and they come. That is our job everywhere. So that is what he said. Theosophical society was chosen as the cornerstone of the foundation of the future religion of humanity. So we are laying that cornerstone for future religion of humanity, which may not happen in our lifetime, it may happen after many generations, but we are working for that. So that is a divine task. To achieve the proposed object, a greater, wiser, and especially of the alpha and omega of the society, high and low of the what determined upon. That means now it is coming detail. Alpha and omega of the society. The lowest state of the society and highest state of society must come together. Lowest and highest may be in different aspects, in material wealth, in knowledge, in various classification of the caste and varna and all those things. It is very clear alpha and omega must come together, and it is the duty of the higher person, a stronger person, to extend the hand first to the weaker person. That is also he said. So if you are stronger in knowledge, in our energy, physical energy, in wealth, it becomes our duty to support the persons who are weaker than this in all these three fields. And particularly Theosophy says that knowledge must be given. Knowledge should not be kept within. In another letter of Mahatma to AP Senate, HPB says that brothers, this is their background. When the people came to know through Theosophical Society that they are Mahatmas, they are masters, earlier it was not clearly indicated in our scriptures, religious scriptures. Only indication was there, Siddha Sangha and all those things. But the first time Theosophical Society teaching brought out to public knowledge that they are masters. Those Jivan Mukta Rishis are there who are guiding Theosophical Society. Then another time many Indians were eager to meet those Mahatmas, and they put the questions to Blavatsky, how can we contact them so that we can get some ashirvad, some blessing from them, as it have human nature. That master sitting in Tibet sensed this thing, and he wrote a letter to Blavatsky. This is printed in the book of to AP Senate. And that master said, that is very important, that tell the natives, tell the Indian people, the brothers Mahatmas desire me to inform me, that Blavatsky is saying, and all of you know, natives particularly the Indian people, that unless a man, when this man means women also, unless a man or women is prepared to become a thorough Theosophist, that is, now Mahatma is defining thorough Theosophist. Unless a man or woman is prepared to become thorough Theosophist, that is, give up entirely caste. Because caste, have been very, in Hindu society, have been from ages. And all the great teachers have said there is a curse to humanity, to society. So Mahatma is saying, first step, give up entirely the caste. Not only the intellectual, but in behavior conduct. That is first condition, he says, before anybody can contact us. And his old superstitions, we have got in our religious superstitions, so many superstitions are there, that has to be given up. and show himself a true reformer, especially in the case of child marriage. That means Mahatma also expects that we must associate with some social reform, social evil. At that time, child marriage was very dominant, so master is sitting in there and is worried that child marriage is affecting the society. So child marriage was given example. Any social evil in which we are interested, we have to associate it individually or support that movement so that society can improve. And there are so many social evils even now. Then he says, unless these three conditions are put, what three conditions? Give up entirely the cause. Entire world is entirely, not partially. Both mind behavior. And second, superstitions about gods and goddesses. What about superstition? When they are saying superstition of gods, they are not denying existence of gods. They are not denying existence of gods. But what is superstition? Superstition means we believe that if we pray some god, we will get some personal benefit. Our personal difficulty removed. If I am sick, my sickness will be cured. If I am losing some money, my money will come. So gods are not meant for that. That is, gods are important beings. They are doing their work, but they are not meant to satisfy individual cravings of human being. So that is superstition. So he said all those superstitions must go from human mind. And third, also some social reform work. Social reform work, as individually we have to get associated mentally by our money or physically, whatever is possible. At least mentally we can all support the good social movements. So these three important conditions he has put before a person can contact us. And he gave example of Damodar, you know the Damodar story and all those things, how he abandoned the family to come out of the caste, division, belief and all those things. So Mahatma is quoting that person who is prepared to such sacrifice to remove the that evil of untouchability in society. One of the Mahatma letters says, the crest wave of intellectual advance must be taken hold of and guided into the spirituality. That is the job of Theosophist, as member of Theosophy. Nowadays, intellect is developing very fast. As you know, children being born today are having a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. Their intellect is advancing very fast compared to our generation. But whole intellect is a very strong faculty of human mind, but it has to be given proper direction. That is what Mahatma said. If proper direction not given, that will be cause to destructive, again, crime and all those things. So that we have to give proper direction. That means mind, particularly the younger people's mind, have to be given proper direction. That is also a job. So we must take this theosophic, basic principle of philosophy among young people in colleges and other associations. That is also one of the tasks assigned to person who is following, practicing theosophy. And in this, only for this purpose, you know, recently we have been trying that in our colleges and campus, Indian section campus, theosophy should be taught as subject. And many of you must be knowing that Banaras Hindu University has approved that syllabus for teaching the theosophy to first and second year graduate students there. And they have said if this experiment is successful, university have said, then they will make it in all over the Banaras Hindu University. And if similar attempt, our federation can make at their personal contact at their level, local level, they need not immediately approve this as syllabus, but at least we should try to approach the colleges, students and all those things to the extent possible. That will help us. Above statement give basis. These statements which I quoted, Masters and Mahatma, they give basis how to live this theosophy. So some points are to realize and practice the true brotherhood of humanity, that is first object, without any distinction in all our mundane activities. Much more advanced one is in knowledge, strength and riches, more is responsibility to help the weaker brothers, sisters and also the subhuman kingdoms of the nature. To guide human mind intellect, which is progressing very fast towards a spiritual direction. As Annie Besant said, spirituality is only realizing oneness. So oneness of feeling, one life, one consciousness feeling. The more we are able to practice ourselves and also motivate others to practice, that will be the real job of theosophy. To give up all divisive beliefs like those of caste, race, sect, creed, and also superstitions in believing some personal deity, some personal god whose invocation can change the effects of our karma. In fact, Blavatsky says this is the greatest superstition which is the root of all crimes in the world. This belief in every society, Hindu society, Christian society, Muslim society, that you go to some temple, you go to some dargah, you go to some church and pray to that deity and Lord, then you will get rid of your past bad karma, and you can do. This is the greatest, biggest superstition, and which is the root cause of all crimes. That is why this superstition has to be removed. As I told you, gods are there, but their functions are working according to law of karma. Their job is not to satisfy individual human requirements. They work as laws, personal laws, that we must realize. In all our efforts for the above, attitude of selfishness, self-sacrificing, and self-forgetment must be there. When we are doing this work, it should not be our aim to self-development. That development will happen automatically, but idea should be to make others people help development and forget ourselves. Then certain definition of Theosophy has been given. Brodsky says it is anybody can become member of Theosophy by filling that form and paying some dues. Now, of course, Indian section has waived of dues. But to become Theosophist is not so easy. So Theosophist, though nowadays loosely we all Theosophists. So some definitions, some description of Theosophist have been given here. So we'll try to look into it. While describing a Theosophist, it is said that any person of average intellectual capacity and a leaning towards the metaphysical, of pure, unselfish life, who finds more joy in helping his neighbor than in receiving help himself, one who is ever ready to sacrifice his own pleasure for the sake of others people, and who loves truth, goodness, and wisdom for their own sake, not for benefit they may consider, is a Theosophist. Theosophist is who does Theosophy. This is Madam Blavatsky said that besides our studying and meditation service, our attitude should be always unselfish in this area, and also we must find more joy in giving to others help than receiving help. You know, we are interdependent. Sometimes we need help from others, and sometimes we have to give help others. So we feel more joy to help others in whatever capacity we can give that pleasure, and we should love truth, goodness, and wisdom for their own sake, not for the purpose that it benefits us. It will benefit automatically, but that should not be purpose. For example, if we are trying to avoid lie or speaking truth, even some difficult situation, it must be only for truth, standing to the principle. Not that it will people will praise me and I will get something benefit and some recognition, all that. So if we are following truth, it must be practiced for truth itself. A true Theosophist must put in practice the loftiest moral ideal, must strive to realize his unity with the whole humanity. That is another definition of Theosophy. Now these things are given a goal mark, goal post. It is realized that immediately we cannot reach that level, but at least we must keep that in our view that we have to achieve that, and gradually the practice will make us possible to live there. Okay. The fundamental of principles of Theosophy are of no value unless they are applied in daily life. Activity. The end of man is an action and not in the thought, though it may be global. Daily action. Now daily activities we face. Now with this, if these principles are back in mind, then our daily activity become, say, spiritual activity. A master give one or two examples. He says, suppose there is a footpath and there are some thorns growing that. If you are clearing that thorns, it's unselfish motive that this help other, that becomes spiritual activity that converts cosmic energy into spiritual energy. So any help, any smallest help. Suppose I am helping some old man to cross the road, but without any motive that he will thank me and all those things, that becomes a spiritual work. So spiritual work does not require any money, it can be. And it also says that if you cannot do anything or physically weak and bedridden, at least send noble thoughts to welfare, for welfare of the humanity, for welfare of others, that becomes a spiritual work, but without any selfish motive. The two conditions are there. The activity must be for welfare of others, and there should be no selfish motive that I should get. So these two conditions would make any activity as spiritual activity, whether a businessman, whether a doctor, a liar, and all those things. If a doctor is there, it is mentioned that doctor should give advice without saying that how much fees and earn. Of course, some fees he must get, but that should not be main aim. But and preventive medicine should tell, so that cause of disease he should go. That becomes a spiritual practice. Similarly, businessman, if he is charging only reasonable profits, say 10% or so, without perpetrating black marketing, that is also a spiritual work. So anything becomes a spiritual work if these two conditions are fulfilled. Then 4 links of golden chain. Universal unity and causation, this is from Key to Theosophy. Human solidarity, the law of karma and reincarnation should bind humanity into one family, one universal brotherhood. So in our preaching Theosophy to general public, these 4 principles should be brought out in proper, appropriate wording. Wording can be changed. For example, you are addressing small children or young people and housewives, society, wording can be changed, but these principles must be brought into. What are the law of karma and law of reincarnation? Human solidarity, that whole humanity is one. There is no division. Division is only apparent, appearing. There is no division at soul level. And also, the humanity is one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That idea must be repeated again and again. The action of one reacts on the life of all. This is the scientific. This is now science is also proving. Action of one affects all. Action at all levels. Thinking, feeling, and physical. And more, it is thinking is affecting everything. Nowadays, researches are going on, and you might have heard Global Consciousness Project, already initiated by Professor Roger Nelson of Princeton University. He has proved by research, the moment a consciousness of a person changes, say in Bangalore, either for good or bad thought, that is affecting whole globe. He had set up many computers earlier, in 2 computers in Bangalore also. And from the data collected, he has come to conclusion that any thought, whether good or bad, of a person sitting anywhere, in any corner of the globe, affects entire globe. Not only human thought affects, it is affecting even computer output, inanimate objects also affecting. So that research finding has come. In fact, Theosophy says not only globe, but Blavatsky says whole Brahmand gets shaken by if one particle vibrates here. That means our thought vibrations go and spread to the whole Brahman, whole cosmos, and they are affecting. The action of one reacts on all, that is the scientific fact. This is true scientific fact. Therefore, it is only by practicing in their daily lives true brotherhood and true sisterhood that the real human solidarity, which lies at the root of the elevation of the race, which right at the root of elevation of the race. This is emphasized by Mahatmas again and again. The race can elevate, whether Hindu race, Muslim race, or as humanity, can elevate only by following true brotherhood on this earth. Then he says we have to realize under the law of causation that every mean and selfish action sends us backward. Backward means spiritually, our progress is retarded. Any mean and selfish activity, and not forward, while every noble thought and every unselfish deed are stepping stones to the higher and more glorious living. Altruism is an integral part of self-development, but discrimination needs to be applied. Theosophic teaching is a little different from other teaching. He says altruism must be there, Paramarth must be there, but some discrimination, some viveka have to apply. It is said you have no right to kill yourself by hunger just for giving food to others, because you have to live. Unless you live, you cannot help others, unless the life of others is more important than you. So that viveka is applied. Our actions have to be guided by the dictates of our still small voice. This is another aspect of the spiritual life, Theosophy life. Our actions must be guided by our still small voice. What is still small voice? Conscience, antar man ki awaaz, inner voice. That everybody has that faculty. And Blavatsky says Parabrahman speaks only through inner voice. He is always guiding. He or she is not applicable. It is always guiding you. First, it is guiding us to not to do certain thing. That is conscience. Not to, if I am going to do something wrong thing, then immediately something idea will come. Don't do this. But I just bypass it and I do that. And when we practice that, don't do, then it starts coming, doing what should be done. Then intuition comes. What should be the right thing to do? Because every situation in life is not very clear what to do and what this way or that way. Choice is also there. Everything. Even taking food. For example, I am taking food, breakfast, idli. How much idli I should take? Immediately the body will respond. You should stop at one idli or two idli. Choice is there. So every moment choice is there. And inner voice will come at every stage. Don't disturb. And normally we try to just not to listen that inner voice, and if you do not listen, then after some time that gets suppressed and then it stops speaking. Brodsky goes to the extent of saying that we must do all worldly duties under guidance of inner voice. Inner voice is the only true guide. That is only our judge, advocate, defender. And we should not follow merely others' advice because it looks good. We must follow our inner guidance, even though the result may not be pleasant, result may not be very happy to us, but in that process we learn to advance. If we simply follow others' advice, our inner development will not happen. Inner development will happen only by following inner voice. So that is very important. In practicing charity, then it says we need not be afraid of our weakness. Every person has certain weakness, but we not be afraid. But we must know in what area I am weak and try to counter that by developing the opposite virtue. For example, if I am irritating, I must observe how often I get irritated. I must try to be aware of irritation. Immediately I am aware, the irritation subsides. Every failure can be turned into success, Brodsky says. Every failure can be turned into success. And every success into a soul power. Brodsky taught to build a firm foundation for our pledge or promise. Thus, every pledge or promise, unless built upon four pillars: absolute sincerity, unflinching determination, unselfishness of purpose, and moral power, which makes the fourth support and equipose the three other pillars, is an insecure building. Now, promise and pledge is very specifically pointed out. Usually we say, suppose if I ask certain friends and members, when you will give me this thing? He says, all right, tomorrow. But then he forgets it, tomorrow doesn't give. Theosophy says that creates a very serious situation, karmic effect. Before committing anything, promising, pledging even a small thing, you must be sure you are able to do that. And if you are not doing that, the karmic effect will come. If you are not sure, you do not just promise, you say, yes, I will try. Suppose I come, you can meet me tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You should not say that, yes, but if you say I must meet, otherwise you create karmic effect. If you say, yes, I will try, yes, there is some background, suppose some situation happens, you are not able to meet. So this promise and pledge must be taken very seriously. And she said there were four pillars, and fourth pillar is moral power. If I am not able to fulfill any promise, any pledge, even the smallest one, then morally I am falling. That is, moral quality has to be done. In practicing charity, there should be personal exertion for others, personal mercy and kindness, personal interest in the welfare of those who are suffer, personal sympathy. Fourth, this is another thing. Normally we help others, but it says that as far as possible I must get personally involved. She says it is beggar. We do not symbolically. She is saying we do not believe in putting the food in the other mouth through others' hand. I must extend my hand to put that food in the person's mouth whom I am trying to feed that. So that is a symbolical thing, but it may not be always possible. Suppose I am helping some other which is not in this place. That is also good. But best thing is, so far as possible, I must get involved personally in any relief work, in any charity work. It is not that I give some money to some other and he will do that. That may be possible, that may be justified at some stage where I cannot do personally. But as far as possible, my personal involvement should be there. Why it is emphasized? Because she says that besides the fulfilling the physical needs, for example, satisfying the hunger of person, we must also aim to spiritual advancement of that person. And she said that can happen only when you personally contact, because when you personally contact, then your vibrations mind, which you are helping nature, we are helping quality, that also affect the mind of that person. He will also spiritually or she advance. If I give mechanically through some servant or through some agency, that will not happen. His physical need will be satisfied, but his spiritual advancement will not happen. So physical, personal involvement is necessary, personal exertion is necessary. That is what she said. While treating with an offender, another thing, while treating with an offender, wrongdoer, Theosophists should follow the line of action which shall result first in harmony, now or forever, and second in reduction of the general sum of the hate and opposition in thought or act which now darkens the world. Master K.H. once writing to Mr. Sinnett in the occult world and speaking for his whole order means whole brotherhood, he said, not for himself only, distinctly wrote that man who goes to denounce a criminal, the Mahatma is saying, a man who goes to denounce a criminal or an offender works not with the nature and harmony, but against both, and that such acts tend to destruction instead of construction. Now this is appear to be a very strange teaching by an ordinary person. If there is criminal and there is some wrongdoer, he says if you denounce that action, denounce that person, then you do not help in establishing the harmony in the nature, which is the ultimate aim of any spiritual path. Rather, your whole purpose, the denouncement, will lead to destruction than construction. So what we should do then? And he said, entire charity, constant forgiveness towards the offender will reduce hate and disharmony. We must be prepared to forgive, especially if he has caused some injury to me. If he has caused injury to some others, we should try to compensate that. Violating the law of physics causes us physical harm. That is, if your hand burns, leg breaks or muscle tears, just so breaking the laws of morality damages our moral and mental being. The damage to body is limited to this life. Damage to body is limited to this life. For example, if I put my hand in fire and it burn, so burn this what will happen, that will be cured after some time and that will not carry next life. But any moral burning, any spiritual burning will carry our next life. For example, if I am going to take revenge out of criminal and that feeling is there, I will carry that bad quality in my next life also. So that is what he said. The disease of moral nature we carry from life to life. Disease of moral nature we carry from life to life. Until we cure them through right morality, revenge and hate must violently disturb the harmony of the inner. Revenge and hate must be entirely wiped out from our mind, even against the person who has caused a serious personal injury. Theosophy says you believe that he has cleared some karmic debt, so don't have any feeling of revenge or hate against him. And the Sufi saints' definition of forgiveness is that, now I have quoted here some of the saints what they have called forgiveness. Forgiveness is they have been considered a very high spiritual quality and also must for the worldly life. The Sufi saints' definition of forgiveness is that it is the true fragrance of flowers given when they are crushed. He's giving example. Suppose a flower is there, I crush it, but flower doesn't harm me, it gives fragrance. So if somebody is crushing us, I must give fragrance of love and compassion to him, not the hate and destruction. And this confirmed the injunction of the angel Gabriel to Prophet Muhammad. You know, Prophet Muhammad was taught by angel Gabriel, so it is being quoted, that Allah commands you to forgive those who wronged you. This is taken from the Quran. Allah commands you to forgive those who wronged you, give to those who deprived you, and keep relations with those who cut themselves off from you. This is very important. Last one. Try to keep relations who cut off you. The persons who have not very harmonious in relationship, maybe family member with us, try to contact them, try to give some small gift to them, try to harmonize the relations over time. Otherwise, you carry this antagonism in your next life. When Jesus was asked, whether one should even forgive the seventh transgression of one's enemy. Jesus was asked, suppose my enemy is there and seventh time he is harming me, what I should do? Even then I should forgive him. Then his reply was, I say not unto 37 times, but until 77 times. That means you go on forgiving, go on forgiving, go on forgiving. And this is reflected in our Hindu scriptures also. One of the stories say that father of one sage, Parasara, was killed by Rakshasa. So King sage Parasara wanted to take revenge. He tried to kill all the Rakshasas. Then Vasishtha, the grandfather Parasara, advised him, son or my grandson, don't blame Rakshasa. They are only agent. Your father has died by your own death. The agent, they are only agent. Don't kill them. Forgive them. So this is quoted in Vishnu Purana and also quoted by Madame Blossom. So this forgiveness of wrongdoer is every scripture there. All great teachers are saying, whether our Rishi Vasishtha is saying, whether Muhammad Gabriel is saying to Muhammad, whether Sufi is saying, whether Jesus is saying. So if we are a spiritual path, we must try to cultivate the virtue of forgiveness. Pity and forbearance, charity and long suffering ought to be always there to prompt us to exercise our sinning brothers. In fact, Master says that who are you to judge others' sin? You are not judging yourself. So we must be able to forgive our sinning brothers, whoever we feel that he is doing something wrong. But it does not mean we accept his way. If some way is wrong, we should not accept, but we should forgive him and try to make him understand right way. If he understands, okay. If he doesn't understand, we should leave his karma. But we should not try to take revenge. The student aspirant have to gradually come to the stage of walking the path of sacrifice, to ceasing to claim their rights when we feel hurt and wounded, and imagine that our rights were trampled upon foot by friends, co-students of helpers. We are not yet ready to tread the path of sacrifice. Here he is saying that if you are feeling that you have been wronged by somebody, that means you are still away from the spiritual path. If somebody does wrong against you, we must feel that he is helping you. He is helping you to wipe off your karmic debt. So you must be grateful to him. In fact, Dalai Lama in one teaching says, your enemy is a Mahaguru. Or enemy can test your patience and perseverance. Your friend cannot test. An enemy is helping you to wipe out your karmic debt from your that astral light and astral record, Akashic record. So let us not ask what Theosophy has done for us, but try only to find out what we have done for Theosophy. That all these acts if we are doing from Theosophy. We should be ready to undertake our duties with the knowledge and responsibility. The first duty taught in occultism is to do one's duty unflinchingly by every duty. It is also here one difference is made in Theosophical teaching, that before doing any duty, I must know that is my duty, not others' duty. Normally in our enthusiasm, sometimes we try to do others' works also. So that according to Theosophy is not correct. Though we are trying to help him or her, but you are depriving that person of doing his own duty. So you must know what is your duty, and that duty must be performed with heart and mind both. And you should not go and do others' duty. Though if other person is not able to do duty, you can offer your help. Can I help you in performing this thing? But not just immediately in over enthusiasm try to do that duty. That creates again karmic effect. No theosophist should place his personal vanity or feeling above those of the society as a body. He who does not practice altruism, he is not prepared to share his lost morsel with a weaker or poorer than himself. He who neglects to help his brother man of whatever race, nation and creed, wherever and wherever he moves of his suffering, and who turns a deaf ear to the cry of human misery, he who bears an innocent person slandered and does not undertake his defense as his own is Theosophy. Again, some points are being brought. If I am hearing some person slandering others, a third person is slandering, complaining others, I must not propagate it, I must not accept it, I must ask for proof. What is your proof? If he gives proof, then, and if it is right, it is okay. But again, we should not propagate, and we should try to tell the person against whom something is being spoken in a mildly and a helpful manner. Okay, this is thing about said, and he may try to correct it. But we should not try to aggravate this situation. Every theosophy is bound to be uttermost to help on by all in one's power. Every wise and well-considered social effort which has for its object the amelioration of the condition of poor. Such efforts should be made with a view to their ultimate social emancipation or the development of the sense of duty to those in whom now so often this is. Now this comes about social service. Social service to help the poorer people. Poorer people may be wealth, maybe knowledge, maybe. So all that we must support. Even if we are physically not able to involve, at least we must support. So, in fact, key to Theosophy, there is chapter 12, Practical Life. In that is brought out what about the duty of Theosophy in politics, in social work. She said, politics, as a human being, I have to involve in every activity. Politics, we cannot just shun away from politics. But we must support those political views which are in line with the Theosophy. That means there is no division, where there is an object of this political parties to support weaker section, bring up the disharmony, and bring up the harmony, all those things. So those objects we have to support. So every activity, whether political or social, must be fall in line with theosophical principles that we must support. Our personal preferences should be overcome by these principles. The duty of the Theosophist is to put into practice the loftiest moral ideas and to drink without murmur of his lost bitter dregs, whatever cups of life may hold for him. Now here, in the personal life, everybody faces some adversity, some bad situations that we must not grudge. We must face pleasantly. Take it as karmic effect. I am wiping out karma. So that is why we say, without murmur, I must face every adversity in my life. But we must try to help others in their adversity. He who studies Theosophy, because what it is said if I am very disturbed in my personal adversity, then I am not wiping out karma, I am creating more karma. If I am pleasantly and cheerfully facing my adverse situations, then I am wiping out the karma, that will not carry on. He who studies Theosophy profoundly and enters into its spirit, enters thereby into a new type of university. This is another statement. If you have joined Theosophy, you have joined a university. What is university means what? Universal law. That we must be guided by universal law. The word university has derived from universality. In the university, higher subjects are taught, universal angle. So, if you have joined Theosophical Society, you have joined a university of spiritual wisdom, where the highest spiritual wisdom, universal wisdom, is within our reach, and we must take advantage of that in living life. By what he meant was that a student abandons the old and trodden highway of routine and centers upon the solidarity path of independent thought. Godward, he is a theosophist. And that is theosophy. Earlier, before joining Theosophy or before assimilating Theosophy, I had so many personal ideas about gods, about society, about men, about women, about all these causes. I must abandon all those ideas. In fact, Martin Brodsky says, slate must be clean. Unless we put our slate clean, Mother Nature's new alphabet will not appear there. She said, to learn the new alphabet, Mother Nature, I must keep my slate clean. Slate means mind, of old idea, must be kept clean. And that means I must move alone. Alone means not physically alone. Those ideas have to be given way, and I must imbibe new ideas, and that we pass towards the God. That we part towards the God, not personal God, towards the divine wisdom. The transformation takes place when he discovers the light which dwells within him. And by this process, we feel that some light is coming within us, and then we are on a spiritual path. When the Theosophist has hit the lamp within, he then feeds it with the oil which he extracts from every nation, from every culture, from every science, religion, art. This is another important thing. Once we have come to a certain level, hit the aspiration, spiritual aspiration in our mind, then we have to symbolically say, lamp, I have lighted the lamp within. Now I must feed the oil to the lamp, so they keep burning. So it says, where is the oil? Oil is, we study all the scriptures, various religions, philosophy, science. That's why comparative history of religion, science, and philosophy. That feeds the oil to the burning lamp within. That means it will enhance the inner wisdom. All possible activities of the mankind gives him the oil with which to feed his flame and to make it shine out in ever-widening circle. It is then that he knows that his light is not for himself, but for whole humanity. Now this lamp which is now lighted within me, that means whatever knowledge I am gaining for all these things, I must know that it is not for me only, it is for whole humanity. That means I must spread this thing. Then, as I told you, this is Raj Yoga. Theosophy is Raj Yoga. There are three aspects: study, meditation, service. I had explained briefly. Then selfless service is very important. Again, this aspect has come. And voice of silence says, let thy soul lend its ear to every cry of pain, like the lotus bears heart to drink the morning sun. Every cry of pain, whoever listens, without thinking that person belongs to my caste, to my state, to my nationality, wherever there is need and I have capacity, I must try to help. Let not the fair sun dry one tear of pain before thyself wipeth. That means your help should be immediate. You should not wait that I should do tomorrow and day after tomorrow, depending on your situation. To live to benefit mankind, the first step you must have all learned. To practice the six glorious virtues, the second. The key to Theosophy says that Theosophy has several aims, but most important of all those which are like to lead to relief of human suffering under any and every form. Theosophy has many aims, but one of the main is to relieve suffering of human society. Suffering may be at physical level, but more important, mental level. Suffering at physical level can be removed by your wealth, by something physical means, but at mental level can be removed only by those persons who have got knowledge, that food to the soul. And for that I must acquire the knowledge. That's why at the feet of Master says that is more useful service. The physical service is also not condemned, that is also useful, but more important service is at mental level, try to change the mind, thinking, orientation of mind. In all the world there are only two kinds of people, feet of Master, those who know and those who do not know. And this knowledge is the thing which matters. Those who know, that means there is a divine plan of helping others and not divine. You must distinguish not only useful and unuseful, but more useful and less useful. This again at the feet of Master. To feed the poor is good and noble and useful work. Yet to feed their soul is nobler and more useful than the body. Any rich person can feed the body, but only those who know can feed the soul. And if you know, it is your duty to help others by that knowledge. Knowledge is very important. So that's why so many emphasis in Theosophy Society, study, observe. That is why we have to acquire knowledge. And at one place, Mahatma says, if you acquire knowledge, power of speech will come, power of help will come. However wise you may be already on this path, you have to acquire much knowledge and first acquire that knowledge that helps you to help others. We seek to know and to understand in order that we may serve. Let us take in heart these words of Brodsky, which remind us of our work in the world. What we should seek is to bring some peace on the earth, in the hearts of those who suffer, by lifting for them a corner of the veil which hides from their divine truth. Let the strong find the way to the weak and help them to climb the steep slope of the existence. Let them turn their gaze upon the beacon light which shines upon the horizon beyond the mysterious and uncharted sea of theosophical science. The Theosophy gives a beacon light to which we must aim. That means its principles, and we should try to others also to gaze at that beacon light. To the occultist, there is no choice between right and wrong. He is bound to do right at whatever cost and whatever sacrifice. He cannot, as some others do, hesitate between the course which is one with the divine will and the course that goes against it. In this connection, Krishnamurti in the feet of Master says that every action has to be judged for its rightness. And definition of right is if it is not going to harm anybody. He says any practice, whether practice for thousands of years in tradition, your scriptures, your priest, must be judged by your logical mind. If it is right, it must be done. If it is wrong, it must not be done. Wrong means if it is harming anything. Not only human, but any kingdom it is harming, environment and animal kingdom, plant kingdom. Any practice is harming, that must be abandoned. Hold on and hold fast to the truth of life. Brahma-like we must create faith by self-knowledge and self-examination. Brahma, what is the function of Brahma in our Hindu mythology? Brahma is creator. So Brahma-like we should become, we should create these thoughts, this self-knowledge and self-examination. Know what is true in us and increase our faith in it. That we must create faith in this knowledge, in this philosophy. Then we should become also Vishnu. What is the job of Vishnu? To sustain the life, to sustain that knowledge and propagate knowledge. This is the job of Vishnu, sustain the life. Life of the spirituality. We must become Brahma, create that. We must become Vishnu, propagate that, sustain that, and become Shiva, ever changing, ever transforming myself and trying to transform others. So Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva function must percolate in our teaching and practicing Theosophy. Teaching, somebody is saying Brahma, Shiva, not that worshipping their murtis, but their functions must come within us. Teaching and practicing Theosophy, it is said in Isis Unveiled by Brodsky that power exists in each man and woman, and those few to practice them who feel called to teach and ready to pay the price of disciple and self-conquest with their development exact. It indicates that a spiritual power can manifest only when we sincerely and willfully teach what we know. Again, the teaching, knowing, yes, is linked to the spiritual power. The spiritual power comes only when we teach whatever we know, little we know. So with this, I think time is closed, and I will close here. And thank you very much for listening carefully. And if some sister brother wants to translate in Kannada, somebody is welcome.
ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅದೇನೇನು ಇದು ಬಿಡಬೇಡ.